It feels like I've tried everything. I've been through way more experiences than I ever imagined I would. Like if you would tell me 10 years ago, here's what's ahead of you. Here's the path drawn out for you. Those are the things you're gonna have to experience. I'd be like, there's no way. Why would I ever have to go through such things? And although I've tried many things, I've been through way more experiences than I ever imagined I would, nothing seemed to work out. Nothing seemed to work out as I expected it to. Nothing really worked out the way I wished for it to. And although I faced my worst nightmares, I never really gave up. Yes, there were moments in which I resisted and I rejected the experience and what was happening, and I became very resentful and very despiteful and vengeful towards life. There was this knowing inside of me that always seemed to keep me going. There's this trust. Call it what you want to call it. It's patience, it's trust, it could be faith, belief. But there was this fundamental part of me that kept me going. And there is a very good reason for this, for why I always decided to accept what's happened so easily and move on. Like there were people around me at some of those experiences who did not want to accept what was happening to me, yet they were very perplexed as to why I'm so content, as to why I'm surrendering to whatever is happening, and I accept it, and I acknowledged it as an integral part of my growth, an integral part of my life, and I valued it as though it's a positive experience. I always believed that all that mattered was the intention behind my behavior, and as long as I felt good about my course of action, about what I was doing with my life, I had a sense of relief regarding anything that happened externally, somehow, to a certain extent. It's not always that way. It was not always that way, and it was not like always that way since forever. I've had experiences that taught me. I've had experiences that showed me that no matter how perceptive we are, our perspective remains very narrow. Like I've had a real mystical experience, a very profound mystical experience that I could never even talk about it out loud due to the sheer power or confusion of that experience, to the sheer power of that profoundness of that experience. I don't yet trust that I can discuss it out with precision, that I can actually explain it. And so part of my journey, this was part of my journey that taught me that, to just accept, to just let go, to detach from whatever is happening, and to trust the path, to trust that my path is leading me, that I am being guided, and that everything is actually working out for me. And that I did. Yet, this has been now for over 5 years that I've had that experience, and that I've been going through those antagonizing experiences, those miserable experiences, which I have to endure, and I have to be patient with, because there's nothing to do about it. And so to me, it was about, did I trust my course of action enough or not? And as long as it felt good, now this was not all the time. I did not always trust in what I was doing. And I knew at many times that what I was doing is not serving me, is not guiding me well, is not the right thing that should be done. And I've let myself be for some times, and I've neglected my path, and I've neglected my meaning, and I've neglected my calling many times. However, mainly, for most of the time, I had a clear intention with my life. And yes, I've neglected it sometimes, but it was always in the back of my mind, at the back of my head. This is where I'm going, and I know, and I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna do the things. I'm gonna act according to my guidance, to my inner guidance, and it's gonna be alright. But none of these times did it actually prove to be a breakthrough experience. No matter what I did, no matter how I felt, no matter how much internal or external work I've done or change I've endured, I've experienced, life just continues to be another lesson for me. And that was still alright, but at some point, it's truly alright. Like, I'm truly accepting, because when people ask, I tell them that it's alright, but somehow they don't really believe me, because they don't believe that someone could be this accepting, someone could be this understanding. And I often told people that, I know what I'm doing, you don't have to worry about me. But I've been saying this for a very long time now, for many years now. Like, I remember when I first abandoned my career, my mom was very worried, and she would ask me, and I would tell her, I know what I'm doing. And I felt that I can prove that saying, and it won't just be talking, very soon. But then it kept stretching, and it kept going. And at many points it felt like my external reality is not really a good representation of my internal reality. Like, I would not understand what's going. Why am I, yes, I can see the lesson in each and every experience, and I can feel myself growing, and I can feel all of these lessons pulling me closer to my end goal, whatever that is, to my meaning. That it feels resonant. It resonates with me. All those experiences, they resonate with me. They hit very specific points in me, challenging points. So it always seems like those experiences are pushing me to do something, to work on something, to feel different, to divert my focus, to go back to something, to whatever it is. And for that I was grateful, and for that I was understanding. Like, so yeah, although I knew this and I had this understanding, it felt like my external reality is not being a reflection of my internal reality. That no matter how different I felt on the inside, how different my beliefs were, it remained almost the same externally. Although I would be lying if I said that I did not know what works, because I've seen it working, because I've seen several course of actions working, or different when I was different, how when I was different, how when I was at a specific frequency, how when I was at a specific internal state, things would react externally. And I've seen it a couple of times work out that well for me. Yet I would also be lying if I said that I know exactly why am I experiencing whatever I am, or why did I have to experience every thing that I did. And that confuses me. Why would life not react to my internal state? What's happening here? What are the lessons? Come on. So, although I know, it feels like I know why am I experiencing everything that I am? After everything that's happened, I can't really figure it out. But I always maintained my trust. I always somehow felt good about what was going on, or felt alright. I was able to easily accept what was going on, no matter what it looked like. But people externally did not believe that. And people around me, or the society in general, did not make it any easier to accept what was happening, to accept feeling as if I'm actually left behind, or that is what it portrayed, or that's the definition it came with. And that's what you could feel between the lines of what people said. Yet I kept feeling alright. Yet I kept acknowledging and learning more lessons. And as I felt I'm growing internally, my life externally did not reflect that very well. And I don't even know why I'm making this video. Like, I truly hope it helps, or it serves as a guidance or clarity for many of you out there. But essentially, I feel like I need to do it. I feel like I need to say what I'm saying. Because my purpose with this channel was always from the very beginning about authenticity. About truly being myself and saying what I have to say to a willfully receiving audience. So rather than me saying whatever I'm saying, sharing whatever I have to offer to a group of friends or a friend who might very well reciprocate it out of friendliness or out of niceness or out of just being courteous, or even out of real interest. Like, I'm not gonna say I did not have friends who I shared very profound discussions with and moments, genuine discussions and moments. But it's also different when I'm here to just share what I have to share, and someone willingly out there is choosing to listen to it. Like, I don't know you and you don't know me. You're getting to know me through my videos, and I get to know you a little bit through your comments. But essentially, you owe me nothing. That's not to say that my friends owe me something or not. It's just, it was a calling of authenticity. And at some point in my life, I decided to stop lying. So I decided to stop lying completely, to have it that my words are an exact representation of my internal world. That what I say and what I do is to make it an exact representation of who I am on the inside. And I remember having a deep conversation about this with one of the closest people to my heart, and who's actually leading somewhat a double life. Because at some point I was leading a double life, from which I came out the other side deciding what I just said that I'm not gonna lie, that I don't care what it is, I'm gonna say it or I'm gonna do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna change it internally. So I would either match it from the inside or match it from the outside. If it's something that I cannot speak about to absolutely anyone, or I cannot act upon it externally, outwardly, then I would really not make it part of myself. I would abandon it. And I remember, in that conversation, I was telling that person that if there is something you cannot really share, or if there's something that you're doing in your life and you're sharing, and if you share it with everyone, if the whole world comes to know about it, it's gonna cause you a bigger problem than you can handle, then it's not for you now to be doing that. Because that would mean that you're not really aligned with it. Because if you were aligned with something, if you were aligned with a course of action or a specific behavior, it would come with ease. It would be effortless. You would do it and you would be able to tell the whole world, and it would be good living through it. It won't have to cause you that many issues or problems. And so it was really all about authenticity from the very beginning. It was my call to authenticity. That led me here. And so I do really hope that it is of guidance and clarity to you, but it's also part of my journey. It's also part of what I need to do. Like, I need to say this. I need to be doing this. And as my life continued, and I continued maintaining my awareness, and I trusted in and I continued behaving in a way with intention. I continued trusting in the intention behind my behaviors. Things still kept to be trying me. My external reality still did not feel as if it's a valid representation of who I am or what's going inside of me. Like, I know, this is not to compare or anything, and also this video is not a sob story or a self-victimization story. It's the complete opposite. It's my way of empowerment or empowering myself. And so, not to compare, but I know people who are doing much worse internally and who are not feeling good about their reality, about their behavior, about their actions, and they're also unwillingly indulging in things out of their hands simply because it's an ego calling. Yet their external reality seems to be amazing, or seems to be alright, like really good, in a way that the society would look at and go like, that's a good life. Yeah, and the outside does not really represent what's happening on the inside. People could fake it, people could act like something, but somehow it's a law in life that your inner reality is projected on your external reality. And to me, that seems to not really be happening, because no matter how changed, and I'm very perceptive, I'm very observant, and I know myself, and I know what I'm feeling, and I've been very critical with myself, and for over a decade now, and I understand, and I've let go of many things, so I know when I'm doing well. It's not a lie, I'm not lying to myself, and it's not just something that I'm faking. But no matter how much I truly change on the inside, the outside is still not very fulfilling. So I found that I could simply take pleasure in the course of my actions, and I found my solace in being a specific person, in living a specific life. And as long as I'm doing that, I can feel good genuinely about anything that's happening in my life. And although I wished oftentimes for things to change externally, I can still feel good about what's happening externally, as long as I've done my part internally. I decided to find solace in my internal world, in exploring myself to my deepest parts, in exploring myself, in knowing myself, in trying different things with myself, in being myself, in presenting the most authentic image of myself that I can to the world, and try to be patient and accepting of my external adversities. And so the image that I take is that like I feel good and I put challenges for myself and I overcome those challenges and I live a healthy life and I lead a healthy life and I connect with my mystical aspect and I connect with my inner self. I connect with my parts in ways that no one really is, and I connect with others. I connect with the world, and I decided that my journey is what matters, and to be loving and to be kind and to be genuine and to be the best you can be throughout your journey is what really matters. Because if my external reality will keep growing its own direction, yes, perhaps there are lessons, always, and I'm called to grow fundamentally, and that's why it's being delayed. That's why, maybe my calling, maybe ever since I've become this person, maybe ever since I've decided to lead this life, maybe ever since that mystical experience, I've invited, because it feels like this actually, it feels like I invited all sort of agony and suffering to my life. Ever since I became accepting and surrendered to life, and I've awakened my patience, I've proved to be patient, life has been forcing me, life has been pressuring me. And it seems that every experience is actually pressuring me one way or another. To become my ego, to lean more on the ego and to become and to lose myself, to lose my patience, to lose my will, to lose my intention, to give up. That's what every experience feels like. Yet, it seems that was an invitation, that me proving that I can handle it was an invitation for more of those experiences. But I realized that it's the journey for me. Yes, I'm called to perhaps grow beyond reasonable means before I can see any external reaction to that. But it's also that I learned to love the journey. And although my external reality is not very helpful with that, I yet somehow maintain it by being myself, by living intentionally. You would be surprised of how different you can feel if your life becomes a conscious, intentional representation of who you truly are, of you. If you make your life be an intention, a life of intention, a conscious life, that could give you fulfillment beyond any other. And I decided for that to be my way. I decided to live this life, whatever my journey has to offer. Maybe my life is going that direction. I know somehow. I know it's not a maybe. It's not, well, perhaps there are lessons here. I know that my life, whatever, with everything that's happening in it, is actually leading me to a fulfilling external reality, whatever that might be for me. To the most fulfilling external reality, might I say. So I'm good with that. I'm good with how long ever it takes. But I'm also good as I am. I'm also good with the journey. Because if you could remember the life you chose for yourself before you were birthed in this reality, if you could remember that you have chosen your very specific life with all its agony, with all its suffering, with all its adverse experiences, out of all the lives that you could have chosen, you chose this one for a very specific reason. And it's the calling that you've awakened to that stimulated you to take this path and experience everything on this path. And if that's been your life, then it means that the path is what really matters. Because this end goal or that outcome that you've been pursuing, that we pursue, is actually there to make us experience everything on the way before we get there. And so it means that the life we chose as our higher selves, as energy, as pure conscious energy, to ascend, to aid in the ascension, to raise the collective permanent frequency, was to have that journey and to accept it and acknowledge it, not neglect it and avoid it and escape from it and hate it and cope with it. And as I came to this realization, as this was part of the mystical revelation I had, I've tried since to make it a habit to really see the positive in things, to be as good as I can from my own point of view. And I trust in that perspective. And I trust that I can be as not my best version regardless of my external reality. Because the path, the journey, is what really matters. You're gonna get there eventually. At your own pace, at a faster pace. Maybe I'm also not that very committed. That's why it's taking its time. But you're getting there. So it doesn't matter if it takes however long. All that matters is that you enjoy the way there. Because enjoying the way is accepting the way. Accepting the way is acknowledging the way. And if you're acknowledging, first and foremost, you're gonna grow fundamentally on this journey. And second, you're gonna get there one way or another. And since you already have that in the back of your mind, even if you're doing the work, because if you align, you're gonna be guided to do some things. You're gonna be remembered of a specific course of action or behavior to adopt or to let go of. And you commit to those things on your own pace. You listen to this guidance on your own pace. And I've tried, and that's part of what makes me content. That's part of what makes it fulfilling to me, because I've tried everything, like I said, way more things than I ever imagined I would get to try. And for that, I'm grateful. And for that, which really changed me, I'm grateful for each and every experience I've been through. And wherever life takes me, I can still find my peace. Whether those around me care about how I am internally or just externally, or whether the society tries to pressure me to feel bad about it, or to hate myself for it, or to try and take a different course of action that's not really fulfilling to me or not really aligned with me. I chose not to. I chose to trust in my intention and the intention behind my behavior and the intention behind my life. And for my ability to trust, I'm very grateful, because that was not easy. And it's not easy still, but it's fun. Life is fun, regardless of your external reality. So just be good to yourself and make your life an intentional, conscious life, and nothing else would really matter. Because you already made it, and you chose this life, this very specific life, for this very specific reason, for those very specific experiences that you're now facing. And I'm telling you that from a place of truth. It's not just whatever delusional spiritual stuff. I'm telling you that from really. If you had the mystical experience I've had, you would know, but that's for another video, maybe in a few years. Thank you so much if you stayed this long, and I hope this gave you some clarity or guidance. See you in the next one.